Hi, good evening, traders. Happy Wednesday. This is Krishna Joshi here with 7 Points Capital, bringing you today's trader takeaways. Pretty busy day, very exciting as well in terms of Netflix earnings, in terms of how many low floats were just popping up. So super busy day overall. Um, and yeah, just even on the range on spies was pretty big because we had the China GDP coming slightly above the estimates. So overall, we had like a good gap up on spies, but I did not expect the sell-off right straight off the gates. Look at this. We opened 91.40, and then we just made a bottom. The low of the day was 89, so that's almost 2.5 points on spies. So pretty big range. Looking at the 5 minute, giving you a picture of the last few days. So we again pulling back into that 288.75, 289 area. A little bit of like a really small gap here to fill, like about 50 cents on the way down. But overall, I feel like today there was much more volume. Netflix earnings, which was pretty big as well. Qualcomm, Apple case settled down. So overall, a lot of things were happening as well. But I'll quickly jump into the stocks I traded, and my best stock on the day was UXIN. If you guys remember this one, the short report came out yesterday from like a J Capital midday, and the stock just sold off from $3 all the way to $1.50, bottomed out. And guess what? Today we just gapped up, and the first few minutes straight off the open was a massive squeeze, right? So this just sort of took off from 225, and then it just squeezed into 65. So this was the first area where I really started looking at getting involved in UXIN. Tried a few feeler shorts, covering into the 50 area, but then ended up getting long in the 55, 56 area, and sold some into the pop into the 68. So that was my first trade in UXIN in this one, which was like a substantial good enough long. The stop at 49. We got a nice squeeze, a nice squeeze, and sold everything just at the high of the day. And then did end up missing like a little bit of a move. So what I did do on this was bought 56, sold on this wick up into 62, comes back, bought it again, and given how this stuffed into 65, so this time around I covered 64. So I had like two longs, just traded around the core, but actually these were two separate trades. Bought 56, sold 62, bought it back again and sold 64. Um, what I did end up missing out on this one. Did feel like a squeeze, but putting into perspective the risk management for me on this trade was that the stock traded at $50. We opened at 225, and I don't want to be buying the breakout of the high of the day. So I ended up missing on this. I was sort of okay with that idea. What I did see was $3 was a big offer, massive offer stacked. I think over 100,000 offers. Can't exactly remember the exact size on it, but we did see like a rejection just above that 90, comes right back down. So did end up getting a nice short in the 290 area, covered the first drop, but then again, being SSR, never could get back in again. Uh, what I did do was once we made this double top, I re-entered, got back in again, and got this wash, but just a little bit. At this point, it just felt like 90s were holding, then 85s were holding, and all of these were massive bids. Um and on top of it, given how this was squeezing, I think I didn't do very well on the short side on these ones. So I ended up missing like a good short trade on this one. The next was a nice long at 275, because after this it just sort of puts in a higher low, uh, go back into push into the 80s, and then now 70s are holding. So I ended up buying the 275 versus 69, and then once we started getting a squeeze, just started trading around the core. The idea here was to sell into these pops, and once I see the offers stacked in, I'm going to take off some against it and re-enter. So I was just sold 82, got back 79.80, and then got the next squeeze on this one. And then again bought 80, 85, 86, sold into the 90s. But again, very cautious into the 90s. My final exit actually on this one was 92.93. I did pretty much get a top tick on this one on my long sell. I did get a nice wash. This was a bit scary. So what I did do was try a small short on this one. Tried shorting 85 half. Flips down, comes back up, I'm out. I don't want to be involved on the short side. I know that 95 is holding. So every time we get close to this, I'm probably trying a short position over here. What I did do was just traded around the core on this one. 290 was a massive bid that held pretty much till the close, right from, look at this, right from 145 all the way till 4 o'clock. The 290 bid just soaked massive amount of quantity. It was on Arca exchange, and 290 would just keep refreshing, take any size that you wanted to give in, and then it would just squeeze up. So I did end up getting short 90 half, actually did go long 91, sold into the pop, and now 91 bid was holding. We did the same thing. So bought again 91, bought 92, bought 91, and then just scalped this one. But at this point, I was able to do like 5x the size, probably even more, because given my stop was 89 and buying close to 91, 92, I was able to do more than that, much more, 8x, 10x what I was doing on these ones. So overall, the best stock on the day was UXIN. The next one was IPWR. I did see like the stock was getting pumped in the morning. Uh, I did put on like a short on this one, and I felt like okay, makes a lower high, breaks the 80 bid that was holding for size. So I ended up shorting 80. We washed down, covered some, but only took off like 40% of it. And on the next pop, I got back in again full size with the stop at 86. I did end up getting stopped out, left it alone for a while till it felt like it was topping out, and finally got back in again at 94 and 93 on this one versus 102. The moment we broke this, I quickly moved my stop to 97.01, and we just started trading around the core. Added much more as we held the 90.91, covered the wash, and then at this point, this was the spot which was the easiest trade that I put on. So I started building a nice position, shorting 80, 85 half, 85 as it comes back again. So this was the spot where I had the biggest position. Felt like this was a good backside, dropped into it, and then one final scalp, an entry over here into the 79.78. So this felt similar to this entry, but at this point I think my size was slightly lower. I only had 2/3 of the size that I had on this entry. I also had a similar size on this one. So just covered everything into the wash into 72. Just left it alone. Actually didn't really trade much for the rest of the day on that one. The final one I want to go over is PRPO. So with PRPO, this was day 2 on this one. I was trading it after hours yesterday. When they came out with the 10K, I was trading it with Najib. This was pretty late in the evening, about 5:30, 6 o'clock, just before Netflix conference call. So we did get like a nice squeeze in the after hours yesterday, and today we saw a similar action. Popped into 57, sold off at the open. But once we got the nice squeeze into 52, this was a good spot to get in on the short side. So I ended up shorting 50 on this, added more actually 49s because 49 was a decent bid, and at this point my stop was just 52.01. I moved it to 51.01, and then just had a nice position on my hand, covered everything into the 47 spot, which was here. But as I saw this wicking out pattern, as I saw the stuff into 48, got back in again, and then covered everything into 43. So at this point I was done and dusted with it. I had a couple of reasons for my exit. I did not want to stay involved as the stock hit SSR, because the last few days I've seen a lot of these stocks look like SSR, and then they'll just squeeze midday and probably make like a double top or a new high by a little bit. So keeping that in mind, my idea was I'm going to put my orders out just before the SSR hits, and I scaled out everything at 43.5. So that was it. I was done and dusted with it. I did have some Netflix position pre-market shorts in the 372 area, but I even had my covers laid out as I headed for work. So I ended up shorting 372, 371. I had my covers out at 369.20, got my fills on it, and then at this point I just had some calls that I had bought last night. Once we got this rip, just try to scale out of some of the calls. But could have been a big opportunity trading Netflix. I did trade it around the core. I was doing it for a very small size, and I was just pretty much just scalping Netflix. I had a couple of shorts, short at 369 around here, covered into this first dip into 360, 364, shorted more on the bounce and covered everything on the way down. Got a little bit on this take into 360, covered 357, and I had a nice long into this 355 spot. I didn't do very well with the covers on this. I did end up selling just before 57, just before 58, just ended up selling on this one. Could have squeezed, there was some little juice left, so I could have had some more of the move. But Netflix, I did have some options position. My goal was to just work on them. Actually, there was one more stock. I'm down on this one on the day. YRIV, we had a massive ATM come out after hours yesterday. So what I did do was look for spots to get on the short side first of all. So I did end up, I didn't do anything on the 130, going testing 130, which is like a 100K offer. Didn't do anything here. Did get involved on this as I saw that the offers were getting tight. Got short 23 half, 22 half, 21 half. Did not cover anything here. But what it did do was put out an ISO order at 120. Just lifted it up on this one on this occasion. Lifts it up and the bid is sitting there for 100K. So now the stock is SSR because it gaps down, opens down SSR, and now there's a 100K bid which is just sitting there. The bid just sat there for the rest of the day. I did have a nice long. I added 22, 23. I had built a massive position. Just scaled out 26, 25, 24. These were my exits on it. I did try shorting it in the end. I did try shorting 21. Got out 23, and at that point I was just flat on the day. I didn't have a feel for it. Definitely not a stock that I'll take overnight. So overall, pretty exciting day, guys. If you have any questions about any of these, feel free. This is Krishna Joshi. Thanks for watching. Feel free to share with your friends, with everyone else in the trader community, and enjoy the rest of your evening, guys.